Malibu Dan the Family Man is a TV show that's run for 3 years on Pureflix, the evangelical Christian video-on-demand service that features wholesome content. On Pureflix, you won't find any of the less family-friendly aspects of television, such as sex, violence, or crime, because none of that was in the Bible. Although apparently neither was quality, originality, or adequate lighting. Let me just confirm with my copy of the Bible. Today, we're following Malibu Dan as he navigates the fast-paced world of morning television, including entirely green screen sets, poorly integrated religious messaging, and a distracting laugh track that's meant to signal places in the script where it would have been a good idea to write a joke.
You gonna eat that?
Was that funny? No, but it didn't actively summon the devil, so I'm kind of living. Let's dive into a TV show at the heart of Pureflix in another blessed installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive in to our favorite TV shows, movies, TV movies, and we sever it into tiny clips so that we can look at them one by one and really examine the nonsense that ensues. And today we're getting into my first ever video that I've ever seen on Pureflix, which I just subscribed to. But before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more clip breakdowns just like this. It really lets me know that you like what you're seeing, but most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right down here. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on the bells and you'll always be the first to know when I've sent a new video down from the heavens. Also, you'll notice I'm wearing my new water bottle classic all over print t-shirt, which you can see in the description below. Now I'm ready for the Met Gala. Recently, one of my subscribers, Rinthia, suggested I check out some content on Pureflix, which I had heard of as in the pure version of Netflix, which is entirely targeting a Christian audience. What I did not know about Pureflix is that it was founded in part by a man named David A.R. White, who happens to also be the director, creator, and star of Malibu Dan, the Family Man. If there's one thing I love more than a subpar quality television show, it's one that's written, directed, and starring the same person. That to me is just the trifecta of I gotta be in show business. But what do I know? Maybe he's really gonna carry his own and he deserves to be the lead of this show. Let's watch. Today we're getting into episode 1 called Millennial Me. And the show starts off, well, fast.
Who's that guy by Arlen?
Don't know.
Wow, what an abrupt way to start your first episode. Maybe at your church they don't teach you about foreplay, but you gotta grease me up with some character introductions before you hit me with that pointless laugh track there. They're like, do you know who that guy is? I'm like, I don't know who any of you are. This show just started. I don't know if you're some guy who sells boogie boards on the boardwalk. Also, that first laugh comes at, I don't know what those 2 men are doing or why a laugh track was cued there. It's like, my eyes are still trying to process the fact that this all looks like it takes place on set for a meteorologist. So clearly, Good Morning Malibu is some sort of morning show with really exciting guests.
Congratulations, you must be very proud.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
I didn't even know they still did spelling bees.
All I know is everybody's laughing and nobody's worried about lighting this child properly. Everyone in this scene looks like they just got shaken out of bed because of a hurricane. Normally, the first episode of a sitcom takes time to properly introduce the characters, the setting, and the setup for the whole series. The first episode of Malibu Dan seems to just want to give us flat joke after flat joke.
What was the word that you won with?
Segadia.
Segadia. I mean, I can barely say it, let alone spell it.
Okay, I know I'm a little hung up on the laugh track right now, but there is a man out there dying. I'm sorry, sir, that was barely small talk that you're cracking up at. What are you gonna do when he tells a knock-knock joke? Kill your wife? There are even a couple moments in this show where it seems like David A.R. White messes up his line a little bit or completely breaks character by laughing, and they decided just to keep it in for realism. But for me, it's not working.
I heard you won a grand prize, big grand prize?
Yeah, a $10,000 college scholarship.
$10,000 for knowing something that nobody cares about? Hey, California, I can churn butter.
Yeah, listen, lady, I'm not arguing with you that this spelling bee winner is a boring guest, but you're being really negative and you're coming off like a little bit of a purple people eater right now. What's that about, sweetheart, with your Revlon lipstick? Hit us with those main credits, ladies.
To a new day dawning, a picture paints a million words in this town. Everyone take their place, who's leading who?
I don't know what's being sung, but it feels inspirational. Waking up, I got the clouds on my side. I take a step into the window outside, and I know that the angels are looking down. That's the theme song for my new show, Malibu Nick, the Judgmental Dick. You probably couldn't tell because they only spent the first 2 seconds of that scene establishing it, but the main situation for this episode is that Dan thinks he's going to be replaced by that younger guy in the white jacket on the show, because they're trying to attract a younger audience.
A guy that we've never seen before, just hanging around, looks a little bit like me.
If you were younger and better looking.
And Mexican.
How do you know he's Mexican, Reggie? It's weird that you would even assume that or think that or even bring it up right now.
Zane, what will you be doing on the show?
I think I'm gonna be taking...
Nothing has been decided yet.
Did Zane just get off a transatlantic flight? Why are the sleeves of his jacket so wrinkled? Someone on set's gotta bring a garment steamer, because you will absolutely need it for costumes, for some sort of backdrop. Like, you just don't want wrinkles or creases on your video. It's so easy to fix, and it's so unattractive to see. So it's like, does not compute. You gotta steam stuff. You gotta steam stuff. You gotta steam it. That guy looks like Mr. Roboto with his crinkly arms. Reggie, who apparently does the advertisement for the show, he's starting to figure out what's going on here.
The new ad buys. Wallace wants me to start selling commercial time for coffee, energy drinks, gas station food, and reptiles.
So?
I sometimes forget that you lack the expertise and eye that I have developed over the years for consumer behavior. But even a novice such as you should be able to see what this means.
Why is there laughter happening? This is just a long, wet-sounding sentence. He's like, I know about advertising. You can't just have a run-on sentence and let that be your joke. I knew that Big Bang Theory was setting a dangerous precedent with this.
Where was the joke? He just named a bunch of
Also, when have you ever seen a commercial for reptiles? Like, what? Is that a pet store commercial?
These commercials are aimed at millennials. But no one with a half a brain would ever buy snakes or 5-day-old nachos.
Yes, millennials have half a brain until you need someone to tell you that your bleached hair looks pink in this lighting. I feel like especially 3 years ago at the height of millennial marketing, the running stereotype was like, we'll spend $15 on avocado toast or blow all of our money on like pet clothing and living at home, whatever, you know? I just feel like the examples they chose for this joke, like gas station nachos, reptiles, those aren't really like stereotypical millennial things, they're just like random things. So the whole show, they start making these millennial jokes that just feel like way off base. And I'm not saying that as an offended millennial. I'm saying that as someone who wants to embrace stereotypes accurately. Okay, girlfriend, rainbows. We get some millennial blood in the scene to help explain things further.
Who's the new hottie hanging around in the control booth?
Zane Long, he's some kind of an intern or something.
Savage. It's good to get some new blood in here and like really bring this show into the 21st century.
Yeah, well, we can always trust you to tell us what's new and hip, millennial Stephanie. Are all the kids wearing 1950s neck scarves now? Daphne from Scooby-Doo? Again, I feel like this was not meant to be the first episode of a series because I need to meet all of the characters within like the first 5 minutes of a show. You'll notice that in a lot of pilot episodes, it's like a walk and talk type thing where the main character has to encounter all of the other side characters or supporting characters so that we meet the whole group and know what everyone's personalities are. We're now 7 minutes into this 20-minute episode and we're just meeting Dan's wife for the first time, and she basically gives us no understanding of who she is as a character except for being Dan's wife.
The station is trying to appeal to a younger demographic, and there's this guy hanging around, and he's got me worried.
Well, how do you know that he's there to attract younger people?
His name is Zane.
Yeah, that could be bad.
Sorry, David, we couldn't all be named after people in the Bible with their loaves of bread and their difficult lives. You know what? I am going to name my child after a book. My firstborn will be Skinny Bitch. I would have loved if we could have met the wife somehow back at work. Like, even if he was just at the office worrying about the new guy having lunch and the wife came by to drop off lunch. That would show like, oh, she's a caring stay-at-home wife. She takes care of the daughter, who we don't meet in this episode, confusingly. And then that could have provided us some cool interaction between the millennial woman and Reggie and Holiday, the self-centered host, so that we get a feel for everyone's personalities and I'm like, oh, here's the main cast of characters. But instead we meet the wife when she's just sitting in bed. Also, Dan continues to spout millennial stereotypes that I've just never heard before. It's confusing me.
They don't know that chicken comes on a bone? They can't make their own sandwiches, and they have the attention span of a goldfish.
Girl, if you hate millennials so much, then why are you stealing every teenage boy's hairstyle from 2001? I remember in 2017, like, going to conventions for the beauty industry, and it was all about marketing to millennials. But now, I think we're already starting to focus on Gen Z. So even just 3 years ago, this show feels dated by talking about millennials so much. Am I wrong in that way? Maybe I'm just like, because I'm so old.
So is that how Emily's gonna turn out?
No, Emily is Generation Z, hopelessly addicted to the internet and unable to maintain human relationships.
Well, that's a relief.
I would actually rather never have another human relationship than be either of these two people. Ooh, my tank top says coffee changes everything because I am what? Violently Caucasian. The next day, Dan has made some big changes to try to appeal to the younger audience and prove that he can keep his job. As far as situation comedy scenarios go, I think this works. It's pretty solid. Other than introducing those main characters in the first half of the first act would have probably been better for me, but otherwise, the situation of the show is better than it could be. Like, it's better than the jokes itself that fill in all the time in between. That's what's really kind of making this feel like it's taking forever. Also, they still look like they have pink hair to me. What is up?
You can follow me on the social network where my memes are always fresh and on fleek.
Wow, the words that white people co-opted back in 2017 sound so hollow now. We really are cultural vampires, aren't we? They have some other guest on the show now, and I'm just like, who is this Jolly Roger?
Fear is a powerful emotion.
Me exiting the sex dungeon. You know, I just wasn't expecting such a dark energy down there. So the whole interview, Dan is basically like trying so hard to relate to the kids by mentioning things like, oh, I bring my phone into the bathroom with me. Really like stereotypical millennial stuff. It's not funny, it's not doing anything new. Also, did we wear tie-dye shirts like that? I feel like tie-dye is more of a like 2020 thing and it was pastel colors. Also, wearing socks under your sandals is a boomer thing, so the costume designer for the show just flipped open the Bible and pointed, and whatever they landed on is what the character was dressed in. Oh, sandals made from cowhide, great. And in this scene, it seems like David A.R. White sort of like starts laughing in the middle of the scene, and for some reason they kept it in, and it like doesn't work because he's on TV trying to be cool. Why did he do it?
Literally, can't even.
You guys, if the creator of the show gives up in the middle of the scene, we all get to go home early. After the show, Dan's boss is like, well, the head of the network wants to see you tomorrow. So everyone's pretty sure he's just gonna get fired and replaced with Zane now. He's getting something under his desk when his coworkers come in and don't think he's there, even though, like, look at this setup. There's a full-grown man under your desk. Your toes would be touching his butt, and they're acting like they don't notice. There's a bleached hair man squatting on your toes.
Where is Dan?
Oh, he's probably off somewhere in his car, crying.
Dan was extra out there today. Over the top.
Sorry, what about your top? We've already seen how huge the sleeves are, thank you. Someone who was writing this script, like, was actually maybe 80 years old because she didn't actually say anything that a Gen X person wouldn't know. She said he was extra out there today. That's universally understood. If you say someone's out there, we know what's up. She meant to be saying he was really extra out there today, like out on stage. But to me, it sounded like extra out there. She put the emphasis on out there. You know when you say a few words too many times and you're like, what language am I talking about? What's the word out there? You guys want to know what's freaking me out right now? This one is like hanging on by a thread. I don't know if I have to like remove it and propagate it somewhere else, but I'm sad. Sometimes I just gently touch my teeth on it. Oh, there's an ant in my mouth now. Zane comes in, he's looking for Dan too. I guess nobody sees that there's a guy here in that tiny little desk.
I like Dan, but it's gonna be cool to book some younger guests on the show.
You mean younger than the prepubescent 7-year-old who was on the first scene of this show? Does every writer on this thing handle a different page of the script? Like, you're not talking to each other enough. This Zane guy shows zero personality as well. I'm like, oh, I hope he's not a series regular.
I'm the man on the inside that knows how to get things. Just let me know.
It's a TV station, not Shawshank.
You got a lot to learn, kid.
You better just wait till we make you crawl through a river of shit. It's supposed to be hilarious how the coworkers are just like clearing off his desk, but what are you gonna do with his basket of documents? And why is nobody using the door? more. They said, how can we make this look more like a set? We want it to be really obvious that this is not a real room with 4 walls. Also, I noticed when watching it that this show at now the 14 out of 22 minute mark hasn't brought in religion or God or Christianity at all yet, which was surprising considering this is a Christian network. And I'll spoil it a little bit. Dan brings up his pastor at the end of the episode and talks about the messaging that guided his morals throughout this whole show. For me, that felt really shoehorned in, like at the very end they tell you what the message of this episode was. I don't see why they couldn't have brought in the pastor here. It would have been a great timing for them to add a new story element, which is Dan consulting his religious leaders. And it's also good timing for us to meet a new character who kind of changes the course of the first episode. It's like a nice way to jazz up your third act or your second act here. I would have loved if Dan had said like, oh, I'm so stressed out, I know who to call. And he got on the phone and we see him talking to his pastor who gives him some advice. Or he goes on his lunch break to visit the pastor at church, and we can set up that this is a thing that's going to be happening throughout the series. Like Dan consults his pastor for like religious help. That's not what happens. Instead, he just goes home and talks to his wife for a pointless scene for 3 minutes, which could have been much better used. Basically, Dan and the wife are worried about him being fired the next day, so they're trying to work out their expenses. Nothing's more fun than watching people financially plan.
Clothing, medical, Emily's college tuition fund.
All essential? Cable TV.
I don't think cable TV is essential.
Should we edit out the part of the scene where she's just writing something down? What? No, add in some laugh track. People will think that's part of the joke. The pacing on this is so bad, like nothing is edited to enhance the timing of the jokes. Just changing the editing on that clip a little bit would have made it funnier for me if they cut right to her reaction in the laugh track, like this.
Cable TV.
Then at least the laugh track lines up with her sudden reaction of looking up and having doubts. They keep going down this list of what's essential and what's not, and I'm just like, all right, if this is really how you want to spend an episode. Not particularly funny or interesting to see them making a list of hypotheticals that I have a feeling aren't even gonna really matter by the end of the episode.
Well, I can't just quit my cardio kickbox class, Dan.
You can cardio kickbox on cable.
Dan, take this seriously. You know I have to keep my pelvic floor strong. We have a family history of prolapse. For such a family-friendly show, they sort of make some tone-deaf jokes a couple times. There was the Mexican thing and now this.
You think that's gonna work?
It has to, or else I'll miss all my basketball games, and you'll get fat.
And then it would still be a hot woman next to some weird unemployed green screen host. So how about that? How's that for God handing out some cards? The next morning, Dan meets with his boss, who is played by John O'Hurley. He's like the biggest name actor we have in this show. He's from Seinfeld. So Dan goes in defending his job about how he can help draw a younger audience in too.
I can do that, sir.
I know you can, which is why we've got to let Holiday go. Effective tomorrow, Zane is now going to officially be your new co-host.
And we're retitling the show 2 Goatees, 0 Personality, here on Pureflix. Now, even though we barely met Holiday, the female co-host, and when we did meet her, she seemed like she was kind of being mean to a child, we're supposed to care that she's being fired. And to me, it's like, I suppose there is a way they could have established that she's like a lovable goofball, but I haven't seen any evidence that Holiday's a redeemable character at all. Apparently Dan has, though.
Actually, sir, keeping Holiday might be a better move. But most importantly is she'll work harder than Zane.
Because of a generational thing?
Because she wants to leave and move to a more popular show.
A more popular show than this? But we get our green screen backgrounds from the Channel 5 AccuView weather cam. I don't get the excuse that Dan makes. He's like, listen, you gotta keep Holiday because she doesn't even want to be here. She'll always be working to get to the next place.
Holiday thinks that she is better than the rest of us, and she'll work harder than anybody to prove it. Zane is just taking up space in a job that he didn't earn.
You might have something of substance there.
I can't believe that actually worked. And also, I don't even really see the point of it. Which is exactly what God said about me on the day I was born. See, if I can roast Pureflix, the big guy upstairs can roast me right back. Okay, it's a two-way street. I seriously don't understand the logic behind this. I mean, the better argument is that you don't need 2 guys with dumb facial hair hosting your show. Like, you gotta have some female on a morning talk show host, otherwise it's gonna be a total sausage fest. Just like in the Bible when they would slaughter pigs and make sausage out of them. Do you remember that scene? I might have made it up. The reason for this house of cards being on the table, this whole scene, by the way, made no sense anyway. It's pointless. Just for this gag, I guess.
I'm sorry, sir. Huh.
Okay, I'm gonna add card tricks to our list of Bible-approved jokes, but I'm just warning you guys, everything on here sucks so far. I feel like this boss character is basically playing his character from Seinfeld again.
Always play with a stack deck.
If you're so clever, how come none of your windows have glass in them? You went from Seinfeld to sea salt, Daddy. Back at home is where we get the kind of moral wrap-up for the show.
After the way they treated you, a lesser man would have left Holiday out to dry.
I couldn't do that.
You reap what you sow.
That's what got me thinking. You know, last Sunday, Pastor Wilcox was talking about if someone has the world's goods and sees a neighbor in need, but then closes his heart to him, how does God's love even abide in him?
She's like, damn, you really memorize every word he says in there, huh? I just take away general rules like be nice and no potty humor. Again, I wish the pastor had taken a more active role in the episode rather than just being remembered from the previous Sunday. Like, why can't he be a character? Then they would actually be accomplishing the goal of the show, which is like showing how a religious man can be biblical throughout his everyday life and kind of do what the Bible says and what God would want you to do, I guess, even when situations are tough, even in like a complicated work environment. Granted, it was just convenient that in this case, Dan didn't have to encounter any hardships because turns out his boss was never gonna fire him. Wouldn't it be more interesting if he actually was fired from his previous job and then the show started with him creating his own TV show? That would have been a great way to introduce all of these new characters. It's like, well, all right, God closed a door and he's gonna open another one for me. I'm finally gonna start my own web show and it's gonna be small and on a green screen and I'm gonna hire this woman who's crazy. You know, then it's like, oh, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen for the rest of this series, and it kind of justifies why the set looks so low budget. It's like his independent thing. And it's like, just would have been a much more original thing. Well, I guess it's kind of like iCarly, like Jesus, iCarly, I Jesus. Still, I would have watched that show much better watching Fachin. I would have been more excited to watch that show than this one, is what I'm saying. Where's my powder? Of course, it wouldn't be a millennial episode if we didn't get one more millennial jab in.
You're a good man, Dan Marshall.
Yes, queen.
That's a hate crime. I'm suing. What did you guys think of Malibu Dan the Family Man? Were you into this Pureflix offering? There were lots of other movies on Pureflix, and I'm excited to use that new subscription. So let me know if you want to see more from this video on demand service, but most importantly, give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more clip breakdowns just like this. Don't forget to check out merch options in the links below. But most importantly, if you're new to my channel, I would love to have you click that subscribe button right down here. That way you'll be updated right when I upload new videos. I upload 2 new ones every week, so make sure you turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when something comes up from Jesus land. I don't know what to say there. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you so much for getting into Malibu Dan with me today. I will see you next time.